Let me introduce you to this wonderful little control panel for lighting, the Showtek SM16/2. Up the top we've got the scene buttons, there's 8 of those. Next to it the chase buttons, 6 of those. Then in the middle the faders, which are also called sliders. We only use 4 of them, which is the colours, red, green, blue and white. Then down the bottom here we've got the fixture buttons. We only use 4 of those as well. When you turn them on, a little light comes on to indicate that they're on. Now this light here indicates page A. That's page A of memory. And we can use this button here to go to page B of memory. The memory on this machine is divided into scenes, which are a sequence, which are a static display, and you can have a static display can contain any color range on 1 to 4 of the fixtures or the lights. Okay, a static display. You can have up to 8 scenes, hence 8 buttons. You can have 8 scenes in one program. The programs are also called banks. Now, you can play a bank or program, which is a sequence of scenes, which will step through the scenes, or you can just manually play a single scene. You can also manually set the lights using these color faders, but you can't differentiate between the lights. Like if you just push up the red button, if I turn all these on, if you just push up the red button, then they're all red. Ow, that's bright, man. Okay, and if you turn on the green button, they're all green. And if you do a combination, they will show the same combination. You can't have one red, one green, one blue, one white. That's why you need to do scenes if you want to do anything remotely clever. Okay. Now, as I said, there's 8 scenes in a program or bank, and there are 15 banks to a page. So that's how this is page A at the moment, and these are the numbers. But these faders don't actually apply to the banks. It's just that they remind you that there's 15, even though they've only got actually 14 here. I know. It's just a quirky sort of thing with this particular model. Anyway, some more buttons over here. This one here is MIDI/add. Don't worry about the MIDI bit, but the add bit is when you're adding something to a sequence. And you've got bank up and bank down. Well, that should be fairly obvious. It's when you're going up and down through these banks. And this one is auto/del, which, that's context reliant. So you're either going into auto mode or you're deleting something. And from what you've done before that, the panel knows which one you actually want to do, whether you're deleting something or going into auto mode. So it's very hard to accidentally delete something. Likewise, this one is tap sync/display. Tap sync is something I won't discuss now, but display is also something I won't discuss now. Now down here we've got blackout. That's a very important button, because if you press that button, everything goes, all the lights go out straight away, bang. No mucking about, no negotiation, just out. It's bank down, as I talked about before. This is bank copy, if you want to copy one bank to another, which can be, well, it's actually music/bank copy. The music thing is when you want the lights to be controlled by music, which I'm sure is a very desirable thing for discos, but I doubt if we'll ever use it. The only reason you probably use this one is to copy one bank to another, and you might do that to save time, perhaps. It might be easier to copy a bank that's very similar to the bank you want and then just make a couple of minor changes to it rather than have to do the whole thing all over again. And this is the program button for going into program mode and also leaving program mode. Okay. Well, these ones here you never have to use because they're pan and tilt. That's if you've got mechanical devices that can move the cameras around, but we haven't got those, so we don't use that. These two sliders here are speed and fade time. Speed is actually time on. So a particular scene could be on for 10 minutes maximum or 0.1 of a second minimum. For some reason they're opposite to each other, so this one here, fade time, has got its minimum at the bottom, which is 0, and its maximum, which is 30 seconds, at the top. Fade time is obviously the amount of time that it takes the lights to fade to and off for that particular scene. I must point out here if you play a scene manually, any of these settings, time or fade time, will not take effect. The lights will just come on and stay on like they are now. This is actually bank 1, scene 1. I'll press scene 2, goes to scene 2, which is already stored as all green. Scene 3, which is stored as all blue. Scene 4, which is stored as all white. 5, 6, 7, 8. Assorted rubbish. So we want to delete this bank because we want to put some new scenes in it. We first have to go to program mode, so hold down the program button for 3 seconds or so until you see the little screen. You can't see it from there, but it changes to program to let you know it's in program mode. Then, according to this little manual here, which is very handy, all you have to do to delete the whole bank is to press the Auto Del and the music bank copy. So we've got Auto/delete, obviously the delete is the important one, and the bank copy simultaneously, everything flashes. So if we go to scene, so if we go out of program mode back to manual mode, notice how this little yellow light comes on, which is next to the blackout switch. That's just telling you that it's turned all the lights off automatically to blackout mode. So I'll reset that. Now it's back to scene 1. I'm in scene 8 at the moment. So scene 1, you see nothing happens. Scene 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're all clear. Okay, so we want to add a new scene, so we'll go back into program mode, hold it down for 3 seconds or so, changes to program mode. Now we'll set fixture 1 to, I'll set this one to white this time. Is that too bright because I'll blind the camera? Just set it that far. And we've got the time set to 3.5 seconds, that's the time on. And the fade time is 1.12 seconds. They're very sensitive, these sliders. It's very hard to set them to an exact figure. Like the closest I can get to 1 second is 1.12 seconds, which I don't think anyone will notice the difference. Now, if I store this, all these settings here, it'll only apply to fixture. This scene will only consist of fixture 1 on white for, did I say 3 seconds or some 3 seconds roughly, with a fade time of 1 second. But all that only applies if I'm if I'm playing it as part of a chase. If I'm just manually playing it as a scene, those settings don't take effect. So anyway, how to actually add the scene? We've got all the settings we want. So all we have to do now is tap the add button, MIDI/add. Just press that once, and then press the button for the scene we want. Notice how the LEDs flash once. Tell you that that's been done. So if we were to go back into program, out of program mode, back into manual mode, which I'll do now. Manual mode, the blackout switches on. If I turn that blackout off, that light will come on. See, that's scene 1. So if I go that to scene 2, there's nothing there. Blah blah blah. Scene 3, 4, 5, nothing there. Just scene 1. So now if we go to program mode again, it's in program mode. Now this time we'll set fixture 2. Do it for screen 2. I don't really have to change that now, but I'm just doing it to turn that bloody white light off. And this one will have, we've had white, this one will have blue. There we go, bit of blue. So we've already got the fade time and the on time to we wanted. So, and we've got the colour we want. We only want that one fixture at the moment. So we'll do the add, and then press scene 2. As they flashed again to say yes, we've done that. Now then, to save a bit of time, I've saved 4 scenes, 1 fixture for each colour in sequence. To play those manually, of course, you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, which is pretty boring, I think you'll agree. Now, to play that bank, that sequence of colours in auto mode, it's already set to scene 1, bank 1, so if I just press the auto button down for 3 seconds, I'll go into auto mode and start playing automatically. Now, there's two mistakes when I play this sequence. Those of you who are of an observant nature will have noticed that when I stored scene 2, which is meant to be blue, I actually had the white and the blue sliders up at the same time. I still had the white slider up from scene 1. I forgot to put it down. That's why it's a very washed out looking blue. Now the other thing wrong is the time. As all the rest are staying on for about 3 seconds. There's white, scene 1, scene 2, 3 seconds, scene 3, 3 seconds, and scene 4, just a little whiff of red, and that's it. And that's because I didn't explicitly set, I didn't move the speed and fade time buttons. Somehow it expects you to actually set them explicitly, and if you don't, if you just leave them as what they already are, I don't think it takes that as a setting. Anyway, I found that it's better to actually move them, even though they're already at the position you want, just to jiggle them about a bit, just to make it recognise that you've done it. But anyway, this is useful because I can show you now how to edit a scene once you've got it wrong. So we'll get out of auto mode by holding down the auto button 3 seconds. There we go, back to manual mode. It happens to be on scene 2 at the moment. So if I put it on scene 4, go to program mode. I didn't have to put it on scene 4, believe it or not. We're now in program mode. Now to edit those settings, I only have to change those settings. I don't have to fiddle around with turning the fixture on or the colours or anything. Just those settings. So we want to set the speed to roughly 3 seconds. So that's 2 seconds 98, that'll do. And the fade time to roughly, oh, that's got exactly 1 second. I've never managed that before. Right, okay. So again, it's the MIDI add, and then the scene button, which is 4. They flashed to say it's done it. So hopefully we go out of program mode back to manual mode. Blackout light comes on. I'll go back to scene 1. Turn the blackout off and it displays scene 1. Now if I go into auto mode, fingers crossed, that should now be fixed, that problem. So far so good. So far so good. Yes, it's fixed. I'm a genius. Okay. Now then, to use the lights for theatre, we don't really want lights to just flash on different colours and so forth. We want a preset shade to come up and light the stage. We want it to come up fairly gradually and then to be constant throughout the scene, the act, and then to fade gradually as the actors go off and go back to blackout. Now, the way I think we should do this, or we could do this using this control panel, is as follows. I've stored 5 scenes on bank 2, scene on bank 2. It's playing the first one now. We'll say this is the blackout scene. I mean, they could all be on low white, or one could be on low white, or whatever, but I've just put them at different colours. Just A, to show off that I can do that, and you can't do it manually, and B, because it differentiates the blackout from the other scenes. So, okay, if that's scene 1, which is a blackout, then you've got scene 2, which is a low level of the shade we want. Then you've got scene 3, which is a slightly higher level. And then you've got scene 4, which is full level of that shade. And then you've got scene 5, which is more or less a copy of scene 4. Now, the reason we need 2 of those, I'll explain later as we do the demonstration of it in action. That's all we need. That's all we need as far as I'm concerned. At the end of 5, if you run it in auto, it'll go back to 1, which is the stage setting scene, which is what you want to come on afterwards. Now, initially, what you'll want to do before the scene starts is to have it on blackout, or the stage setting lights, and then when the actors are ready to come on, they say action, bring the lights up, you press auto, and the blackout lights come out, and it gradually comes up because I've got steps. Now, watching carefully, when it comes to scene 4, press auto, so it goes back to manual. Now that will stay there for as long as you like, hours, days, weeks, months, whatever, however long it takes the actors to finish the scene. And then when you perceive that they're about to go off, you then press auto again to go back into auto mode, and it'll bring the lights down gradually. And the reason you need 2 scenes for that is that you don't know how far through the first scene you're going to get. You have to go back to manual again when you get to the stage 1, or else it will start going through the whole sequence again. You don't know how far through the scene you will have been. So if you say you set the fade out to 3 seconds, the scene lasted 6 seconds, but you didn't press the auto down until you'd gone through it 4 seconds, then you've got one of those illogical situations again. So it's best to have scene 3, scene 4 I should say, with no fade time on it at all, no fade time. Just have it lasting, say, 4 or 5 seconds, and then the operator, the lights operator, when he sees that scene 4 come up, he presses auto, Auto is not like program, it doesn't take 3 seconds to go up, it's more or less instantaneous. So you press auto, it'll go into manual and leave it on scene 4, and then as soon as you press auto again to go back to auto, it'll cycle through the rest of scene 4, which will probably only be a couple of seconds, then go to scene 5, which has got the full fade time incorporated in it, which will give you the full, proper, graceful fade out, and then go to the scene setting, which is this. So you need, in my opinion, you need 5 scenes to achieve this. Thank you. I think that just about wraps it up. As for setting the individual colors on the lights, which probably isn't really necessary, but can be fun, it's much the same as adding a scene. It's just that when you're adding a scene, you must be very careful about turning the fixture light that you've just programmed, that you've just set the color for, off, pushing all the sliders down, then pressing the next fixture you want to set and setting its slider for this color, and then turning it off, and then so on until you've finished all of them that way. And then, and only then, do you press the MIDI add button and the scene button to add the whole lot, and it'll add all of those fixtures in at those settings. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. I've certainly enjoyed doing it. Thank you.